The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
It's a privilege to then be able to come and have these conversations and to push things.
We must know exactly what we want, right? Because what is the role of the president?
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Get into a conversation around Game Plan 2027 and what it looks like there. But before that, generational wealth that you pass on from one generation to the next is actually that's how you know that you actually have something in the can.
Yes.
Right?
And when you talk about generational wealth, it's not about if, it's about when. You know, it's about when and what it is you're planning, what you're doing with your time right now, with the finances and resources that you have today that will transcend you to your generations and other generations to come. So unlike ordinary life insurance, right? The Britam Whole Life Plan continues for life and offers coverage ranging from 5 million all the way to 100 million. So, Ndu, here we're talking about when you are saving, right? So you're saving through a period, say 10, 15 years, right? And during that period, remember, you've been allowed to lipa pole pole so that it's also not strenuous for you. So that when you're saving up for this future, it is easy for you. Now we're talking about your whole life. If you finish paying at 15 years and God decides to take you to 90, this entire plan is there for you for the entire period.
Wow.
It does not end when you stop paying your premiums. So with additional benefits like a waiver of premiums in the event of retrenchment or critical illness. So here we're talking about a question where you are working, you are saving, but unfortunately restructuring happened. You lost your work. So what happens is you will be removed here from around 6 months as you plan yourself, so that when you come back, right, you have planned yourself. You're not struggling to pay this premium. Now, take action now and do what again? Send SMS with the word life and your town to 21778. Or you send a WhatsApp or you call 0705 100
100.
Good girl.
Thank you very much.
Because Britam, it is not if.
It is when. It's not if there will be an election in 2027. It is that it will happen. When we even know that it will be the second Tuesday of August in 2027.
We're ready for Tuesday.
We already know the date.
Yes.
Okay? The game plan in terms of what's going to happen is something that is being put together by quite a number of folks in their circles, assuming that that's the game plan. But then we can be prescriptive and say, is it possible that people will look in this particular direction and perhaps go that way? Now, in this game plan 2027, the question that we're asking this morning is that who is speaking for the people? And if those who are speaking are not speaking for the people, they should not be speaking.
Yes.
It's a question that we're asking this morning. To help us with that conversation, political strategist Javas Bigambo is here with us this morning. Good morning, Javas.
Good morning, Do. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
We thank God.
You do?
Sure.
Always. Okay. Karibu sana.
Asante.
The Member of Parliament for Kajiado North constituency is Onesmus Ngogoyo. He's also here this morning. Good morning.
Morning to you.
How are you doing?
Good.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Thank you both for being here this morning. Before we get into this conversation, Dennis has taken us this week to the place where they come second to the others who make jollof. That's Ghana. Good morning, Karibu.
I like the way you took that. You didn't even want me to ask the question.
No. I don't want to leave room for mistakes.
Anyway, so let's also say that they produce lots of cocoa, but not chocolate, right? So they also have a lot of gold, but that gold is processed outside as well, So one looks at all the resources that they do have, including our petroleum product, and perhaps it's about time to look inward. But you cannot talk about Ghana and not talk about Kwame Nkrumah and his role in Pan-Africanism that we talk about today, because he said, as an African country that got independence, the very first country in the continent, it would not make sense for us if it does not translate to all the other countries in the continent. So let's go to the proverb. The lizard that jumped from the high Iroko tree said he would praise himself if no one else did. How would you interpret it, Jarvis?
Well, of course, I've never been a lizard, but...
Assume to do your one.
well, of course, it's always presumed that for observers, that when a lizard, and when you look at its character, the moment it jumps from any kind of tree branch, it falls to the ground, looks left and right, then dashes away, wagging its tail. It's always assumed that it's been looking for a praise, for a proper jump. And when you look at them through the lenses of the lamented, now departed, inaugural dreamers of Africa, people like Nkrumah and others, is that Africa must not wait to be praised, for instance, for it to know that it's doing the right things. African leaders must not wait for praises from the West to know that they're doing it right. In fact, Africa and African leaders must take pride in the originality of their thoughts and dreams and aspirations to know that whatever decisions they make is headed in the right direction because it's their own decisions.
Yeah. Ngogoyo, how would you interpret it?
I think looking from my situation, or rather the country situation right now, you have leadership cannot be looked from outwards. We have to be a people that are looking inwards, trying our best to create a better environment. And we have an opportunity to do so because we are the ones who are living.
Yeah.
Having said that, also allow me to say that every situation calls for a lens. And, based on your environment, you have to adopt. So, in my opinion, is that, for every challenge, every situation, we have just to find a way to move forward. And that is what makes us who we are.
Who we are.
Yeah.
Well said, well interpreted. Thank you, gentlemen.
2027 is literally around the corner. I mean, we just broke into June yesterday. And that leaves us with, give or take, 12 months and, well, rather 1 year and 2 months to the next election. Maybe just slightly less than that. And that there are conversations that are already being had that you would imagine as though the IEBC has already announced that campaign season is open. I don't even know if it's going to be a blip in the skyline when they make that announcement, because everybody's already started getting into it proper. Having said that, the will of the people, for the longest time, seems to have been something that is put to the side. The last election that Kenyans participated in was one of an economic nature. That it was clear at that time that Kenyans needed something to push them forward. And we're talking about microeconomics here. Does that change this year? This next election, where it seems as though there is a cry where they're saying the will of the people, the voice of the people must be heard, must be done. Is that the direction, or are we looking at economics again? We'll start with you, Javas.
Well, elections is always about the people. And I'm seated here with a great kindred of mine, a great friend for years, Honorable Ngogoyo, a political nomad, actually. A man who's belonged to 3 political parties, I think KANU, Jubilee, UDA, and now warming up to join DCP from the way he's been characterizing his politics.
Kajiado North are inherently nomadic in nature, so that's
True.
yeah. So I thought,
Yeah.
You don't need to praise them.
Yeah, and I would say that given that elections are about the people, what is central to the people is their way of living and what makes their life worth.
Yeah.
And that's the economy. I remember in the 1992 elections in the US, it's Bill Clinton who quipped that it's the economy, stupid. And if we look at it that way, 2022 was actually about the economy. I can promise anything in my clan that even 2027 and nearly beyond as well will be about the economy. And it is about the cost of living. It is going to be about agriculture. It's going to be about the spending power of the people. But beyond that, the enablers of the economy, infrastructure, healthcare, because all these are contributors to the economy. You cannot have a flourishing economy when the healthcare system is limping, for instance. And that's why, for example, we've seen under President William Ruto, the critical efforts to make sure that there is health reform in place, health infrastructure, to ensure that universal healthcare is achieved, at least progressively, because even when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, universal healthcare is a critical component. people and goods moving from one point to the other. Infrastructure is an enabler. And that's why we can see also, for example, even the National Infrastructure Fund, a law that was passed by Parliament, where my kindred, Honorable Ngogoyo, sits, is going to be a critical cog in financing infrastructure development in the country. And just as we've just celebrated the 63rd anniversary of the Madaraka Day, we've seen how, beyond the enumeration by His Excellency the President, various infrastructure projects that actually have materialized by way of visionary leadership, focused leadership, moving from the various administrations. 5 Kenyans have now taken oath of office as president and presided over the affairs of this nation as president. And with each epoch, we have seen the vision of each presidency, their determination, their focus, and trying to lift the people economically to the next level.
Ngogoyo, when you talk about the position that the country finds itself today, one asks the question, who is there for Mwananchi? Why is that the question? Because you look at the representative of Mwananchi and even in the bills that appear in the house that you sit in, and many say does not involve Mwananchi, public participation remains to be a suggestion. You talk about even decisions being made right now about setting up of Ebola centers in the country. Where is the voice of Mwananchi in all that? You know, we talk about the fire incident that happened in school. You know, that conversation is being held about the safety of school, quality assurance that is there. Who is doing all this on behalf of Mwananchi? Has the government in totality, whether you're looking at executive, judiciary, parliament, all failed in speaking and standing up for Mwananchi?
Thank you. 2027, unlike any other election, will have a number of objectives. But the main one, 80% of why a president, a governor, a senator, member of parliament, member of the county assembly will be elected, matches the economic, the social, and the political aspect will prevail. 80% will be, are you the right person to represent people in whatever position? Now, 2022, remember there was a big fight between the hustlers and the dynasties. Now, the truth of the matter is, those who won, which was UDA, which I was part of, whatever we said was not what we have implemented, was not what we have gone for. We are directly opposite of what we said. And on policy, I will, and allow me to explain this, that for instance, we believed that our party will move up policies that are bottom up, that are believed to be getting people from the bottom of the ladder to climb up. One of the instruments that would do that is the finance bill. As we talk today, the current finance bill as it is, and has been published even in the newspapers today, some clauses are in direct contradiction, on the contrary to the same. When you say you want to bring people from the bottom of the radar to up, it means you're putting in place a mechanism where they will thrive either in their business. You will give them an opportunity, for instance, in the education sector, you will provide a way where they can move, for instance, from a technical college, from the university, you will give them an ease to ride up. Now, that from the finance bill, you would not be able to achieve that. The current finance bill tries to raise 117 billion.
Yes.
And it is a lie when the CS says that the current finance bill is just normalizing, harmonizing taxes. They are raising 117 billion, and I can prove that from the finance bill. Now, when you're in the times that we are in today, when oil seems to have a problem, when oil products getting into this country seem to be not in their normal phase, you need to put in measures that can ease down some of those things. That means you have to come up with measures that can put in ways of reducing the cost of fuel in this country, which is a catalyst to many other things in the country. So, as we talk right now, And that is why Jaffas would easily tell me I am a nomad. Naturally, where we come from.
Yes, established.
Where we come from, you go look for pasture and water.
If you don't
then
find
you get
it,
your cattle.
and if you don't find it,
And if you don't find, you go even further.
okay.
So when I went to UDA, I thought we'll go to Canaan. But there was none. And you know, by the way, moving is part of life. Actually, where we come from, that is how we should do it. And we will move until we are comfortable where we're moving. And that's why I'm saying that the 2027 election, and you see, Kibaki was a Kanu man for all his life. He became a DP man. But he achieved something for this country when he was in NAC. That is when he became president, and that is when he was able to do a number of things. For instance, free primary education came in 2002, 2003. It is Kibaki who signed the CDF bill when he was the president, bringing equality into 10 constituencies then, that you'd have a share of the national cake to every constituencies. He was the first president to do so. And what was called the national water policy, that the ministry then would have, assuming they were able to implement, that you'd have had water for all our public schools. Then it was moved by Eko Ethuro. And you know, some of those things are very practical when you look at them from the sense that it was something that was approved in the National Assembly, and that is a water policy that was approved by the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya. So in my opinion, 2027 election is not any other election. And 80%, much as you will talk about the roads, the health, the everything, number one, you must get the right representative.
Let's stay with you for just a minute, because a colleague of yours sat in this chair a few weeks ago and told us something very alarming, that there is not one pro-people law that has been passed in this current parliament, but that all of them have been pro-government. Would you agree with that?
To some extent, yes. Majority of the bills that thrive, of course, are government bills. There are a number of bills that are pro-people that have not seen the light of the day. For instance, Jerry Minor, the Member of Parliament for Kirinyaga, has a very good bill that seeks to remove what is called, when bodies are lying in mortuaries,
yes,
probably they had bills in hospitals, to decriminalize that you can hold those bodies until they're able to pay. So, and the argument is that let's give the body to the family, and the issue of payment and everything can be left to those that are living, which can bring dignity to some families, and you do not have to sell your land for somebody who is deceased. So that bill has gone through the second reading.
First and second reading, yes.
First and second reading. It has not gone to the third reading. Now that is it is a pro-people bill.
Yeah.
It is the people who actually feel the weight of such issues. When you say there is none, I would disagree.
Okay.
Because, for instance, I have a number of projects in my constituencies that are courtesy
as a result of
the National Assembly.
Okay.
So if I would say that there is nothing pro-people, then I would be lying.
Okay.
The issue is what percentage is pro-people.
Yeah.
But remember that and you see the what we have in Parliament is a majority control Parliament. So these broad-based people, as we talk today, the ODM people and the UDA, they happen to be the majority.
Yes, they do.
And when you look at even the numbers, most probably things that emanating from Bigambo, ideas, though he's not a member of Parliament or a cabinet secretary, anything emanating from him might see the light of the day because of the numbers that are in the National Assembly. And he knows that very well.
But he's also a chairperson?
Not chairperson, he's a co-chair, very powerful person.
Yeah.
Co-chair, appointed by the president. He's just equal to a cabinet secretary. He just comes, it's only that he doesn't have the GK, but I'm told nowadays he has. He just comes next, I think, to the AG. Because they're the ones proposing what are the legislations that, now to be. Actually, he is the one representing the UDA party.
Okay.
The president's party, he's the one. If there is a problem, part of the people we have a problem with in this country, Bigambo Jaffas. He's one of them.
Jaffas, as you respond to him, I'm perturbed. I'm perturbed where I sit, because Ngogoyo got into Parliament using UDA. He's still a member of UDA, even in that house. In the very house where another member of Parliament says the number of people bills is minimal. Where, again, the agenda that UDA promised to give Wananchi all of a sudden does not exist. One asks the question, even as we approach 2027, what miracle would leaders, members of Parliament, the legislature have to convince Kenyans to vote them in? Where does that trust come from?
You know, my relative Ngogoyo is a very serious person, except when he's not. And he has spoken to many issues here, some which are contradictory to the fact that first, he was sponsored to Parliament by UDA. And he cannot just yet distance himself from UDA party. Now, even when UDA party has called for parliamentary group meetings, he has not attended those meetings. He has absconded. And he's a good man, except when he's not. For instance, avoiding to attend such critical meetings of a party that sponsored him. He is among the young people that are visionary in this country who are in leadership today. But Honorable Ngogoyo, just like even the legislator, who you say was here last week, who indicated that there is no pro-people bill that has passed in Parliament, passed by Parliament, Honorable Ngogoyo represents Kajiado North. Close to 300,000 people, Kajiado North. Those people, he speaks for them when he's in Parliament, by way of oversight, legislation, and representing them there, together with the other members in the August House. When you look, for instance, at a bill or the various laws that were passed on matters health, putting a social health insurance authority in place, the fund in place, the digital health infrastructure, the health financing infrastructure, are those laws to finance and help government and government officials alone? No, it is for the people. Today, 31 million Kenyans have signed up for social health insurance fund managed by the authority. And President himself even spoke to it yesterday. Those are Kenyans who've signed up for the benefit of this. When you look, for example, at the school feeding program, in the 2025-2026 financial year, 3 billion shillings was set aside for school feeding program. And among even the public schools that are in Kajiado North, where my relative here is member of Parliament, and part of the fund, even NGCDF, that contributes as well to the school feeding program, those funds help the people, the ordinary people. When you come, for example, to what I've mentioned a little earlier, the National Health Infrastructure Fund, for financing infrastructure projects in the country, those infrastructure projects, are they for the government or for the people? It's for the benefit of the people. Today, the Rironimo Summit Road is under construction for the benefit of the people. Now, all these laws that have been passed, where my relative Ngogoyo sits, it is for the good of the people. In the Gettysburg Address, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the US, said, democracy conducts a government by the people, with the people, and for the people. Government acts for the benefit of the people. It does everything in trust.
Everything?
In trust. That, in fact, is the best alloy of governance. That is what is the legitimate expectation of the people. That is what conscientiously members of Parliament, members of the cabinet, the president, the deputy president work in the interest of the people. Now, Honorable Ngogoyo says that when there was the marshalling up of the people for support for President William Ruto in 2022, it was for bottom up, for the benefit of the people, the common mwananchi, the hustler, to move up. And the opposition, united opposition so-called, has kept on saying that President William Ruto is all promises and no action for the benefit of the people. All promises? Rironimo Summit Road is now being constructed. Just promises? No. The SHA is now working. University funding model is presently working. Just promises? Look at it this way. when you look at even the manner in which various infrastructure projects in Nyanza, in Western, tell the people in Western Kenya that President William Ruto is just promises and no action, when today sugar mills are working, that the moment a farmer delivers sugar to the mills, they are paid within a week. And as a matter of fact, sugar mills that were crippled in the last regime, today the mills are working. Tell that to the people of Western Kenya that President William Ruto is just promises and no action.
So
tell that, for example, to the people of Wajir, where a stadium was constructed within 100 days. Just promises?
Now, the things that you're talking about, be true as they may, are macro things. And here we are looking at a situation where the promises that were made by President William Ruto in the agenda were micro promises. And what am I talking about? Putting money, literally, in the hands of Kenyans, which, interestingly enough, and I could list them, have not been done. Gas was supposed to be 300 shillings. Diapers for women, which, if I don't know if you've ever had a child, but that's one of the things that are vital when it comes to that. That never happened. We also even had a commercial sex workers fund of 100 million shillings or something ridiculous like that. There were other things that were promised. The interesting thing that you're talking about here are issues that were established on the macro level, which any economist will tell you that when you're talking about actually enjoying or realizing the benefits of an economy as the common man, if those things are not of a micro nature, you do not feel it in the short term. Now, of the promises that were made at the micro level with the Better Up agenda, which of them have been fulfilled?
Now,
I really want to know which have been fulfilled.
I'll answer it this way. Do you know?
No, the way you should answer it, Javas, is to tell us which ones were fulfilled.
Even in terms of, let me start here. President William Ruto went round the country in all the 47 counties, even in the company of my brother Ngogoyo, having economic fora, discussing with the people about what they want to be implemented, about the economy, holistically.
Yeah, but having a conversation does not put something in my pocket. I want to know the things that he said he was going to do. For example, maybe I can help you. When he said gas, was it done?
No.
Was it done, Javas?
No. Fundamentals. Look at it this way. Let me answer this question. Today, as we're seated here, Finance Bill 2026. Are we not aware? Even the president pronounced himself yesterday. Any person earning 30,000 shillings and below, they will not be eligible to pay the payee 10% of their salaries. That's going to be in the finance bill. Now, that's going to increase the spending power of the hustler, the common man, whether
let's be cautious
sector,
of the words that you use, Javas, because you talk about discussions being had, things going to be done, things having been said, fora having been conducted where people have conversations. My question was clear and simple.
One of them.
Hang on. I asked, of the micro promises that were made, because there were micro promises, and like you keep referring to your relative, they were there. You can tell us. There were micro, and remember, I'm not talking about the macro, because you are speaking of macro when you talk about Rironi Mount Summit, when you talk about the highway to wherever. Those are macro projects that in the short term, Kenyans will not get relief from, okay? Now, there were several promises that were made. I'm asking which ones.
I'll give you one.
Were established.
I'll give you one. No, facts are like a head. Whether you like your head or not, you cannot change it.
Then
one of them.
Give us.
Fertilizer. No. It was 7,000 shillings. Today, is it not being distributed at 2,500 shillings?
Okay.
Ask the farmers. Most people here, Ngogoyo here is not a farmer, so may not even perhaps feel it. Farmers today, production in matters by farmers, maize, etc. Go to the food basket in this country. People are enjoying the outcome of President William Ruto's policy of reducing the fertilizer cost from 7,000 shillings to 2,500 shillings. That is a fact. No, from where you sit, has that happened or not?
Fertilizer has been reduced from 7,000 to 2,500 shillings. It has been reduced.
Thank you. Now, look at, for example, even the cost of food.
You want to be careful here.
No, let's face it.
Okay.
In 2021, 2022, early 2023, what was the cost of food retailing across supermarkets?
Which food?
No, we are talking about, you remember even we had the Unga protests.
Yeah.
Today, what's the cost of a bag of flour? And here we're talking about people who procure flour in our supermarkets, not people who go to millers locally, like in my village, to go to the local miller to grind flour for their food and for their porridge. It has gone down tremendously. And that's a matter of fact. Now, the issue, for example, about fuel costs that Honorable Ngogoyo spoke about, there are some issues that international fundamentals of the economy affect that actually internally, for instance, just recently, when the Iraq war with the US and Israel broke out, well, we are party to it. But the domino effect affects our economy.
But the domino effect that affects all economies, and there are countries today who are able to shift fiscal policy to cushion their economies regardless of global issues. That is a fact. And so when we talk about citizens' livelihoods being secured, that's what we talk about. Where governments, taking into consideration that global factors would affect the economies, they sit and they do a turnaround in Parliament and they say, guys, what can we do to ensure the protection of the livelihoods that a constitution binds you to do? And this I want to bring Ngogoyo to say, how do we see that those protections come into place? Because, by the way, you might want to know that cane farmers don't walk into with their cane today and get paid today. That's not happening.
No, they're paid within a week.
It's not happening. They're cane farmers who... It's not the case, because there are farmers who are not paid within a week. There are a number of them. And we still have sugar that's being brought into this country that's being sold lower than what that sugar farmers are bringing to and are crushing for. That's the case. Ngogoyo, please, and Dennis has a question.
Allow me to begin by telling Jaffas, I want you to be factual. Number one, there is no feeding program in the country. Zero feeding program. My constituency does not have any feeding program. There is only a subsidy that is provided in the ASAL areas that did not get funding in this financial year. Zero.
Ngogoyo, check the budget.
It's not about the budget. I'm telling you what has been released from the exchequer, zero that has gone to that program called feeding program. You can confirm that from the expenditures end. Budgeting is not where you get the money. You get the money at expenditure. Now money has been spent by GOK on the food feeding program. I come from Manasal County. It is zero. Ministry of Education is the recipient. Schools are the recipient. It is zero. Number two, there is no contract, valid contract for the Rironi Mau Summit Road. If you have, provide. No valid contract. There is no contract for that road. It is, you're just giving a theory. They are looking for funding. They've been to China. No contract. So don't tell us about anything that you do not have a commencement date and a date that it will end. Any valid contract in the Republic of Kenya has those two things. It must have a date, commencement, and the date when it will end. Provide that and you will say we have a contract for the Rironi. Whatever is happening there, I don't know, but provide the contract, because that's the only document any Kenyan can check on to say that you have a valid contract for anything that government is doing. Allow me to say that, one of the problems I have with people who are in the broad-based is the assumption. One, the president came to Kajiado. We had an economic forum, true. We agreed that in Kajiado, we are livestock farmers. And it is true, I'm not a farmer in the field that you are in, but I am a livestock farmer. We agreed on setting up in the veterinary farm in Kajiado, setting up a leather tannery. We agreed.
This is what you were going to do
for
farmers.
That is the commitment we signed. I signed, the president signed, and even local people signed. We agreed with him that we will not take our cattle to Dagoretti. We agreed that if we slaughter in Kiserian, we will take our hides and skin there. He committed that he will bring the company called Boss. What they will do their shoes and yes. That is what we agreed. And the economy of Kajiado, we committed ourselves that this is what we need, and we agreed. We even told him that meat, packaging, everything will be done from Kajiado. He said yes. Jaffas, that is zero. Nothing has happened. What in return has happened, he has built houses in the veterinary farm. Houses that nobody in Kajiado requested for. Houses that will not have any return to the person that have been sold to people in the diaspora, not people living in Kajiado.
Okay. I mean,
allow me, because Jaffas, you had your time, to tell you that part of the commitments we had was to provide for people to move out of kerosene, to move, which was dangerous, which was not healthy, to move out of using kerosene to gas. And we committed we shall charge 500 shillings for gas, which is now about 2,000. It was come to 500 shillings. Zero. The president lied. He even said it after being president that we shall bring the cost of gas as low as 500 shillings. Zero. The president committed that the payment for NHIF shall be reduced from 500 to 300. It was a lie. And let me tell you, you're saying that one people are registered in the social health insurance. Being registered is not the issue. What services are you getting in the 31? For instance, today, a teacher, before they had a scheme, Supreme, by TSC, as we talk today, a teacher cannot go to a health center that they desire to go. They have to be forced to go to a health center that has an agreement with SHA. It is in contradiction because you see, once you have an insurance scheme, you decide which health facility you want to go to. As we talk today, all of you are employed, meaning you have a reduction for SHA, including Bigambo. Bigambo himself cannot go to an institution that he desires so by SHA. He has to be given a list of those ones that he will choose for. For instance, I come from Mongata, Rongai, Kiseret, and Gong. I could choose a hospital like Beacon of Hope. It's a private hospital. It is not prescribed in the SHA. You cannot choose it, while it is a facility that could give benefits. And when you go to the government one, what is happening today, because they have not received the monies from SHA, they are not able to have certain, basics. So they will not be able to provide, and therefore you'll be referred to. And I want to tell you, Jaffas, why we are saying no to this Ebola quarantine thing. Two things. One, the president said last night, hosting media stations from the northeastern region, that one, he's the one who allowed the Republic in 2023, he allowed the US to set up. Now, the president does not have such powers. 2010 Constitution provides that he must do public participation. There is no government that can start or initiate anything on its own violation without subjecting it to the people. So, number one, Jaffas, your president cannot just say that he agreed with the Americans. We have no problem with the Americans, but we have a problem with them setting out an Ebola quarantine in this country. Number two, the president on his own, that is not even his purview. We have the Cambridge chair. We have the KEMSA chair. Where is the KEMSA chair in that issue? Where is the Cambridge chair? They should be giving a report. They're the ones who should commit that with the government of Kenya, we have received, even if it was a treaty, the treaty becomes a law after ratification by parliament. So they should have seen it, gone through it, and then the health CS provide the same information to parliament for approval or ratification. And even for the list, they should have gone to the committee. Now, as we talk today, the chairman for KEMSA, and the chairman for Cambridge do not have an idea there is a quarantine being set up there. You also go start construction without the approval of the county government. Any construction in the Republic of Kenya subject to the county governments under the Physical Planning Act. You cannot start construction without the county government. When a building comes down, you say the county government did not do 1, 2, 3. Today, why are you starting construction without the county government of Laikipia? And then you set it up in a military airbase. Military centers are no goes on for anybody. You cannot access a military center on your own. If it is a true quarantine, why put it in a military airbase? Allow me to tell you that one of the things that is going to happen, and we will not allow, this one even without being a majority, that quarantine center will not be set up. Whether the president likes it, whether Broadbase likes it, it will not happen in the Republic of Kenya.
Javas, want to ask the question then. With everything that you've stated that we have 31 million people who have registered on SHA, it is good that 31 million people have registered, but are they accessing the services is where the rubber meets the road. You've talked about Ken farmers as well. I myself as well, I'm a Ken farmer. My parents are Ken farmers, Migori County. Sony Sugar is where we take our farm, our cane. And I can tell you for a fact, what you stated is not a fact, But that notwithstanding, you've equally talked about fertilizer. There is fertilizer that let's put it at 2,500, but cost of production as well has gone up. Kenyans today, in the unga that you're saying they are able to afford, Kenyans are unable to afford that. You know why? Because finance bill passed, the government has raided into their pay slips, they are getting less in their pocket. That means they do not have enough money to buy that which they would buy, say, in 2022. So one asked the question, what happened to the promise on the micro level that we will speak to you on an individual level, so that if you were buying 1 packet of unga, you're able to buy 4? Today, I was able to buy 1 kg. I can only afford a half a kg.
Now, there are a number of things that the government under President William Ruto has done and is doing that some people actually peripherally don't want to appreciate. President William Ruto is not just a symbol of national unity. He's a symbol of inclusion. A number of things that he has done is to ensure, for instance, that when it comes to spending power of the people who are the lower band get to have theirs adjusted such that they don't have to pay the payee. And he has pronounced himself, and that's why those that earning 30,000 and below are not going to pay the payee. Secondly, when you look at the extent of inclusion of even people in the Juakali sector, etc. and whatnot, when you talk about the issue of SHA, I will tell you this. Many people, and I have seen it when some relatives have had to be sick, I've had to go, and when you find out people who are complaining or who initially were complaining that SHA is not working, they were not even initially registered. People who've registered, some of them even friends that I've gone to school with, they come now to appreciate that SHA gets to offset considerable amount of their bills. Now, there was a bit of hiccup during the transition of this new health framework. And this hiccup is slowly being polished.
What was the hiccup?
No, when you see, for instance, when we moved from the NHIF to the Social Health Insurance Fund, that transition, in fact, even the example that Honorable Ngogoyo has given about transitioning teachers from Minet to SHA, the hiccup was on that transition. But now it is working. In fact, even His Excellency the President has spoken ex cathedra on this, that teachers now, what initially was feared, that they would not access healthcare in health facilities, whether you're in the rural or urban areas. Today, teachers are finding it easier than when Minet, the transition from Minet initially to SHA was first started.
Why did teachers want to go on strike then?
Now, you see, first of all, change at times is always misunderstood.
Okay.
And because for a long time, teachers have been covered by Minet under the TSC, they did not know, they were anxious about what is it and how is it going to be as we transition
No,
from
Javas,
Minet
they knew
to SHA.
because they gave examples. I'm sorry, but one thing that we must do is that they were not unsure, or they were not just anxious, that they gave examples of when teachers would actually present themselves to hospital. And 2 of the things that they raised were pertinent issues for them. That the places where they could go and access medical care were far from. That previously on the other cover, that they could go anywhere. Kind of like what Ngogoyo has said, they could go anywhere and access the health care that they needed. But when they moved, right, that they had to go further away. And this meant that they had to take time off work, which in cases they couldn't get. Do you see? That they couldn't go where they were used to going before. So it's not about change or feeling anxious. The truth of the matter is that they couldn't access it in certain medical institutions. Yeah.
Because in the initial weeks and months of that transition, a number of other health...
It was in May. It was the beginning of... It was April 28th to 29th.
Yeah,
it was the beginning
various health providers now have been onboarded to provide health services to teachers and to Kenyans across the country. Now, you see, this is the onboarding of, even under NHIF, not all health facilities had been onboarded. But now, as we move forward under the UHC, we are going to have various health facilities onboarded as long as they are able to provide services, first. Secondly, the issue of authentication and verification to ensure that fraudulent claims are not made. Remember that even the issue of, was it about 11 billion shillings fraudulent claim? It is the health CS Honorable Aden Duale who spoke out about it. He blew the whistle that there had been a scheme of some various health facilities making fraudulent claims. So let us appreciate the proper work of government is to offer services. Nothing else. Government doesn't do business.
Can I ask something?
No.
Jaffas, is it a whistle blowing when you say that there are companies that are being paid that are associated to your relative?
You see, Honorable Duale said this, that there are some companies, some hospitals, for instance, where some even health practitioners, some doctors, were making claims for payment when they had not even physically been at various facilities. And he blew up this. So the most important thing, remember that accountability, transparency is one critical thing in framework of government. When a government official says that and calls out various facilities for fraudulent claims, we must appreciate that they are keen on transparency and accountability.
No, they're doing their job. This is the thing,
Exactly.
that we shouldn't be clapping when somebody's doing their job. It's the job.
You are right.
Yeah.
So we must, in fact, we expect the best and even much more of every public officer. And that's why we are seeing the commitment of the president. Actually, Ndu, let me tell you, any person who will succeed President William Ruto as president in 2032, that person will have to raise their sights and be even
I'm
more.
sorry, just repeat. Anybody who'll do what?
Succeed President William Ruto in
Okay.
2032.
All right.
Because when you look at the trajectory of vision, development, and stewardship in governance that President William Ruto has put, actually, let's appreciate it, that no president has been under microscopic scrutiny of the 5 presidents, of the 4 initially before him, than President William Ruto. And this speaks to the education, enlightenment, technology, the dwarfing of means of communication through technology on matters governance. And we appreciate this. And so when we see a government doing better, let me tell you, it is good and proper when Kenyans lament about some services that they expect and are not being offered. But it's also proper for us to appreciate that various considerable strides, achievements, and successes have been and are being recorded under the leadership of President William Ruto. That is a fact. And I'm sure, we know, you asked earlier when we started this discussion, that by 2027, who will be speaking for the people? Who elected President William Ruto? Is it not the people? Who elected Honorable Ngogoyo? Is it not the people? And that's why, for example, when you look at even the considerable achievements that have happened under the broad-based government under President William Ruto, when Honorable Ngogoyo moves from working with President William Ruto to go to work with a former DP, Rigathi Gachagua, he is exchanging the sun for the candle. And it doesn't just make sense. Look at projects, for example, in Kajiado North.
Yeah.
Challenges, for example, in matters, there are conflicts to do with land and boundaries, in Kimuka areas, etc. That needs the working of a member of parliament with the national government, with the cabinet secretary of lands, etc. So it's proper that members of parliament, including Honorable Ngogoyo here, to work with the government of the day and ensure that they serve the people
Ngogoyo,
as the people deserve.
want to ask the question then, because we're running short of time. Do Kenyans feel, do Kenyans understand, do Kenyans speak the same language that Javas is speaking? Because when you talk about pesa mfukoni, I'm the one to tell you whether niko na pesa mfukoni. The only Kenyans say, nimeenda hospitali, Sha is working for me.
What mesmerizes me is how broad-based people, they are the only ones who know that Ruto is working. The teachers, the lecturers, the common mwananchi, talk of different sectors of the economy. It is only people in government who know that the president is working. But when you ask those sectors, they say no, they feel no, they feel that this government is actually unresponsive to issues. But let me tell you, where the rubber meets the road, it is not in 2032, it is in 2027. Jaffas, whether you like it or not, your president will be subjected to an election in 2027. And in 2027, he has 2 options, either to lose or to win. Most likely, he will lose. And if he loses, someone else will come. And I want to tell you that they will lead this country better. Because one, will not go on with the same issues that this government has had. Even minimum, lying. You know, don't be a lying president. You say one thing when you mean the other thing. Number 2, the bravado. You cannot force everything on Kenyans. As I conclude, what is on the table today, because it's on the newspapers, it is what is going to come into Bunge today. They are going to table the finance bill for 2026-27. Yes. 3 or 4 issues that I want to bring to the attention of Kenyans. Number one, Mbadi is proposing to remove VAT from pharmaceutical and a number of items. What that means when you remove VAT, it means that the cost will be moved to the general public. VAT, you normally claim it. And when you remove VAT, it is not a good thing. What they are saying they're going to remove VAT, it is going to affect the cost of products in the pharmaceutical, animal feeds, is going to increase. Because before, what has been happening is that the businessman claims the money. And therefore, that money, the cost does not go to the item itself, the end product. Section 31, or rather the clause 31, and I want you to mark this. For the first time, the Commissioner General is proposing under that act that he will not ask for a certificate of origin of any goods. If you bring in cables, if you bring in any product, there will be no certificate of origin. That is the worst thing that you can do as a Commissioner General, not to ask where this good came from. For instance, if it is gold, it came from Sudan. Why don't you want us to know that this gold came from Sudan if there's nothing mischievous about Section 31? And if you're not trading in gold and you don't want people to know, why do you want to bring in such a clause? Lastly, that idea of yours of you're talking about the president said that he wants to anybody below 30,000 not to pay tax. First of all, they're in contradiction with his CS. The president says this, the CS says this. The CS said if they remove, they have to find somewhere to recover the money. That is hypocrisy. Because the two of them have been in contradiction. In the proposal, they have not proposed what you're saying. Because you need to look at the finance bill proposal for you to say that that is real. And because the president is used to saying one thing and meaning the other thing, we cannot take your word. We cannot take your word. I will be voting no for the finance bill 2026-27. Increasing or getting 117 billion. The most Uhuru Kenyatta did when he was president is 20 billion. The proposal that he ever brought that raised the most money is 20. 117 is ridiculous, out of this world. And you cannot raise it. And lastly, I heard you say that it is Parliament that changes laws, to fit in when there is the issues of oil and everything. It is not only Parliament. The CS reduced the cost of fuel on his own. When they went to see the president, when they went to see the CS for the second time, he reduced a further 10 shillings. True or false?
He did.
That's true.
They reduced the first to come to 13. They reduced from 13 to a further 8. And from 8, they reduced to a further 10 shillings. So it is not only Parliament. And let me tell you, when there was COVID-19, Uhuru Kenyatta forfeited a lot of taxations. Excise duty, for instance, on phone calls was removed. Remember, transactions cost on the government transaction cost that they were to recover on transactions on M-Pesa. They forfeited. So a government must not wait for Parliament. There are decisions they can make in extraordinary circumstances. And Uhuru Kenyatta did the same. There are a number of things they forfeited, even collection, so that until the country... And let me tell you, if there was COVID right now, and William Ruto is the president, I think all of us will not believe in Kenya. Because Uhuru Kenyatta, for 2 years when there was COVID, there are measures he took in. The president says, no, we cannot take those measures. We cannot do this. Why? It is Kenya. It is our country. You should be concerned about Kenyans more, whether they will leave, not on the monies you will collect and what you will lose.
So from what you're saying in all of this is that the people of their will is what should be on the ballot in 2027, but currently it's not.
Of course, given any option, you against Ruto, I'll vote for you. You against Ruto, I'll still vote for you. Anything against William Ruto will always win.
There we go. Chavas, final word from you.
I think Honorable Ngogoyo is speaking to his base for purposes of re-election. I pray, of course, you'll be re-elected. But when it comes to national leadership, it's a different ballgame altogether. President William Ruto is the president of the people. And when it comes to, for example, preparedness on matters Ebola, let me tell you, the institutions, Kemri leadership, we have seen Kemri even do spot checks at the various border points and ports of entry, and even scaling up our research in collaboration with the CDC Africa. for purposes of ensuring that we are able as a country to fight off diseases. KEMSA, you mentioned the KEMSA and even the KEMSA chair. KEMSA is well prepared with medical and non-medical supplies in case they are needed, just in case, for example, there is a critical outbreak, a pandemic, and even in this case, as we prepare to counter Ebola, in case there is any Ebola in the country. Yesterday, there was mention of a scare of Ebola patient on Kiambu Road. I mean, it was just a scare, because verification and verified data indicates that actually there is no patient whose status of Ebola has been confirmed as positive. And people are just becoming alarmists. So I can speak firmly and clearly that KEMSA and KEMSA leadership is prepared, the Ministry of Health prepared as much and as well, to ensure that in case of anything, supplies, because government...
For Kenyans.
For Kenyans.
But it's not related to this quarantine, and I think it was in that relation that Ngogoyo was bringing up. Not in relation to this quarantine centers being set up.
But you see,
a devolved function. Is Jaffa's aware?
It is a devolved function.
Are you aware?
But Ngogoyo, there is something called Global Health Security Initiative, where there is cooperation between governments or among governments for purposes of mitigating health challenges in a region, globally, etc. The cooperation between Kenya and, for example, the US, Kenya and the UK, on various fronts, whether it's health, whether it's security. We have got, for example, BATUK, cooperation between Kenya and the UK on training of our soldiers in Nanyuki. Cooperation is a thing that we must always embrace, because left to our own devices, as a country, we may not be
left to your own devices as a country. You have not had one confirmed case of Ebola since 1976, and let's end there. Left to your own devices, you've been able to do it well on your own as Kenya for 50 years. And the hope is that the change will not come with these new developments. But that's a conversation for another time. I think it's clear some of the things that have come up this morning. Thank you very much, both gentlemen, for joining us today. We've had a conversation, Game Plan 2027. Who is actually speaking for the voice of the people? Javas Bigambo and Onesmus Ngogoyo. Asante Sana for being here, both of us this morning.
Thank you.
Gone past 9 o'clock. Asante Sana. We'll continue with the next conversation. Until the next time, it's 6 minutes past 9.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.